Even Ask GMBN has gone retro this week, and I've got Doddy's help this week because there's lots of things I don't remember from the olden days.
So what are you trying to say?
Yeah, well, I was saying my memory's pretty bad. Right, let's kick it off. Loads of cool questions here. First one from Antonius says, what's your opinion on elevated chainstay bikes? I love the look and have always wondered why they died out. Recently got an elevated chainstay light speed. I plan to build up as a rigid bike packing rig.
That's going to kind of look cool, I guess.
Do you remember the Alpine Stars?
Yeah, Alpine Stars. There was the Funk as well. There was various Yetis available. They're only created really because we had triple chain sets, but they weren't sort of a compact drive back then. Remember, they were massive. Like big chain rings were like 48s and stuff. So there was no room basically down by the BB for clearance, so you get all gunked up. So to keep the chainstay short, they popped them up high, but then sometimes it would all get a bit baggy.
You wouldn't get a chain slap on your thingy?
No, it's nice and quiet. I think they do look cool though.
Trek, one thing I do think of now is Trek with that Stash 29 plus.
That's elevated. I think slightly. To bring it all in.
Yeah,
right. Do the same thing, modern
so not completely died out, but pretty much. Jacob G, were cantilever brakes really that bad?
I don't think they were that bad. They were just really hard to set up. Because you think about it, how a cantilever works. Like the lower you have that main straddle cable, the more leverage you have, but it became really mushy. So it was a fine line of how high up and down you'd run it.
You could buy those really expensive, what do you call them, like the ons.
Oh, the little mojos and stuff,
to hold your cables.
Yeah, they used to look really trick. But do you remember how many hours you spent trying to get your pads set up and you had to tone them in and up and down? And...
Well, I've just done it with my V-brakes for that video. I got through sets of brake pads like nothing else, and I could never be bothered to tow them in. So you're supposed to have your brake pads touched slightly earlier at the front, whereas I just have them flat. It seems to work.
I think unless you're unlucky, then you get a squeal. But do you remember the sort of terror of riding down the descent, like across into a wet grass field and reaching for the brakes? Like, nothing happens.
And the gunk, well, not the gunk, but the grey stuff you get on your rims doesn't work. And you'd always see someone, eventually one of your mates, their brake pad would go under the rim and into the spokes.
Jam up,
Dodgy.
They were okay, but they're nothing compared to what we have now.
Yep. Okay, right. Mark OC 1979. Why did egg rings die out? And what became of Fergie's gloves?
Ooh, Fergie's gloves, yeah. Well, look at weightlifter gloves on Amazon and various places. You'll see something similar. Fergie, I don't even know where they came from. They were disgusting, but everyone seemed to wear them. They had like your knuckles exposed, which is the one bit you kind of want protected.
Nice and airy. I mean, there was fingerless gloves sort of died a death as well, really, didn't they?
They're quite good though.
Yeah.
I've ridden a pair not too long back, and they're actually all right.
You look like a real cyclist.
I know, they're a bit weird.
A bit like a touring cyclist.
Yeah, you have to put 4 fingers or no gloves, I think. With the egg rings, I don't really know what happened to egg rings as a brand, but Shimano obviously had Biopace, and the way that they had their sort of elliptical ring didn't quite work out, but we're back to oval rings these days. So.
And there is a difference between the new ones and the old ones?
Yeah. Definitely accentuates the weak spot in your stroke. So I think they're kind of a good thing, but not necessarily for everyone.
Feels a bit weird for me. I used to have one on one bike and it felt normal, and then you jump back on your other bike and then that feels weird. So it takes a bit of getting used to. I
guess it depends what sort of rider you are. If you push a big gear, you're probably going to notice it more. If you spin a gear, you'll notice it less.
You do see some of the cross-country top racers using them, so there must be something in it.
Yeah.
Ghost Rider 51. Whatever happened to Mountain Cycle as a brand? Their San Andreas looked way cool back in the day.
Yeah.
We talked about this the other day about the bike. I always lusted over a San Andreas. There's Paul Smith in UK. It was all over the magazine all the time.
Super tech bike, like considering they were like what 93 or something like that, and it had its own inverted suspension fork and it ran those pro stock disc brakes on there.
The big frame was like a chunky sort of monocoque aluminium
beautiful looking thing
seat
for the
tower
time.
And all that. Yeah.
But do you know, so the guy behind it, Rob Reisinger, he's actually the guy behind 6D helmets.
Yeah,
which
I didn't
is
know
quite
that,
cool.
I've heard of 6D.
And they've got like a floating inner and outer helmet, so their take on protecting against rotational injuries.
It says here in the notes that the actual bike company, Mountain Cycle, sold off to Kinesis in around 99, and then Kinesis still making bikes, aren't they? But
yeah, they're around.
Mountain Cycle died a death then.
Yeah, it's a shame, but good as a memory.
Yeah. Can't you just jimmy it? Why do they move away from Y frames? I remember lusting after the Trek Y series as a kid.
I don't know, to be honest. I think it's probably just found better ways of manufacturing stuff. I don't think they made them look like that for a reason.
There was a Trek advert where someone was trying to play it like a guitar. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do. I've seen one painted up like a guitar actually as well.
Sort of big, carbon sort of tubing, weird looking thing.
I guess a lot of those early frames, the carbon and the alloy ones, they were made as a semi-monocoque design, so the alloy were made in 2 sheets and then welded together down the middle. Carbon, now the technology is so much better that they're actually making complete frames, and they're doing it in better ways, really.
Benji28, how's the steering with those narrow bars?
Oh, absolutely awful.
Well, you were running that on the bike we rode the other day, the GT.
It is horrible, and I've still got vivid memories of everyone chopping their bars down back in the day. So you obviously chopped your bars down because everyone else did. Yeah. And I remember I was being too young to do it, so my dad cut my bars down, and then I got on the bike, had a spin around the block. He's like, "How's it feel?" And in my head, I'm like, "Oh my god, it's disgusting." It's really good though. Yeah, it's really cool. Just what I wanted. Don't do it. It's disgusting.
Especially with crazy long stems. It's such a weird feeling, sort of steering like this.
You've got no control. It's horrible.
Okay, next one. Blake Larson. What was the first full suspension bike in the World Cup? I presume talking about dyno, maybe? Would have been. Actually, would they have raced full suspension bike across country a little bit back in the day?
One of the first full suspension bikes for cross country was that Trek. They designed that as a cross country bike, but
that was a URT bike.
That's right. Yeah. I think it was in downhill, and it was I don't know where the brand's from. I'm going to say France. I'm probably wrong. Silo bikes. And had like a leading link bolt-on kit for the fork and the rear stays.
Bolt-on kit?
Yeah, it was a crazy looking thing. And on the front fork, you'd run your traditional fork, which was curved. Do you remember those back in the day?
Yeah.
And you ran it backwards. So when you put the leading link kit on, the axle would be in the same place. But then on the back end, it actually made your back end really long.
Wow.
And they're kind of similar to some leading link forks that are on the market.
What now?
At a glance, yeah. They kind of got similar idea. It was just a bit clunky and heavy and looked disgusting, to be honest.
I remember Philip Parakis racing in like aero, sort of big. What do you call them?
Oh yeah,
pads.
Yeah. Did speed records and stuff.
Yeah, but also I'm pretty sure he raced World Cup downhill, the occasional one in that kit when it was fast enough.
He wore crazy stuff, didn't he, back in the day?
Like the downhill skier.
But I don't actually know. I think that's one of the earliest ones, that's for sure, because it wasn't when telescopic forks were around, so it must have been pretty early.
You Shakard, why were stanchion sleeves abandoned? So we're talking about for a while you had the rubber.
The little boot things. Yeah.
I had some upgrades. I had those, what are they called? Like lycra?
Oh, the neoprene ones.
Neoprene.
Yeah, I know the ones, yeah.
And around my headset cup as well.
I think, the seals have got way better over the years, but I think the bigger argument for not using them was mud and stuff would get in and actually hold it closer to the seals.
Yeah.
It'd actually do more worse than good.
Seals are really good now. I rarely clean them. They seem to just do the job.
Yeah.
Back in the old days, used to forks would leak all over the place.
Yeah, so much better.
Okay. Right, Mark Sevenoff. Who was the first pro to win on Shimano SPDs and what race? It's difficult.
I don't know what race, but at the very first mountain bike world championships in Durago 1990, the winner, Greg Herbold, was running SPDs, and John Tomac, who got, he was in the top 4. He was on SPDs as well. Those early ones that look like carpet slippers. The shoes, the sort of like grey colour with 2 Velcro straps. Yeah. And then I think the XT pedals, I guess, because they were the first ones that came out.
God, would have been the earliest of days for SPDs, because everyone would have, you'd have clipless road.
I think a lot of people were running toe clips in that race. So I think they were some of the top guys back then.
I've got some terrible memories of riding in toe clips. Ben, what's your favourite retro bike that you lost it after as a kid?
I think I said this the other day, the Amp Research B2 is the one for me. But there's loads. The Amp Research, basically the guy behind it, Horst Leitner, he gave us the true 4-bar linkage system. He designed that and then specialised later, patented that as the FSR system. And they still use it today. And that was way back in the 90s.
Yeah, we talked about it in the Retro podcast, actually. And mine was all the GTs. I remember the bike shop in town, there was a GT dealer, and I had a full range, and those early Zaskars. Was there a blue Zaskar potentially?
There was a blue anodised one, yeah.
And there was the Team RTS.
That was a bike, wasn't it?
When you'd spec it up as a kid, be like, right, I'll have it with those. A spin front wheel, disc drive on the back.
Can't afford any of it.
No, probably some gum-coloured tyres. I can't remember what they would be.
Yeah, Tioga Psycho, the butterscotchy little ones.
That was it.
Dog poo colour.
Beautiful, but probably terrible. Klaus, what is a retro trend that you wished was still around?
I don't know. I think most retro things are best kept where they were.
Yeah, can't think of a great retro. Tie-dye, maybe?
I don't know. I think bike packing and sort of gravel kind of reminds me of what retro mountain biking was.
Yeah.
It's the same sort of vibe.
Yeah.
It's quite non-threatening. Anyone could do it. You just get on a bike and go and have a good time. It's not really about the off-road thing. It's about just being a gang together.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of
Definitely a good
kind
point.
of there. I don't know. It was good fun at the time, but it's definitely better now because there's loads more different things you can do.
This one's from me. What is the worst retro bike you've ever ridden?
I don't even know. I've ridden so many terrible bikes over the years. That Trek was pretty hounding that I rode the other day.
Yeah, I rode one of those early Treks for a video.
Oh God, you rode the even worse one, didn't you?
That was
With
terrible.
a stack of donuts instead of a
I
shock.
can't remember what fork it had. I think it didn't work.
They had their own brand fork, wasn't it? It
Yeah.
was made by Showa, I think.
And I rode a Pro Flex for another video. That was okay, except for the fork, and the head tube felt so steep.
I mean, I think the worst Burke I ever rode was probably my first mountain bike, which was 24-inch wheels steel. In fact, you rode a 26-inch version on the Stranger Rides.
Oh, the Peugeot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But bearing in mind, mine was 24 and I was a kid, couldn't even pick the thing up. It was so
Heavy thing. That's still here actually in the GMBN towers. I'd like to use that as a commuter, but actually it's such a pain with the thumb shifters and all the gears.
Won't need a lock.
No, it's not locked up currently. But I just can't be asked to sort of, do it up. It feels like it needs a lot of work. It's like, is it worth actually?
Kona's better for that.
Yeah, Kona's much better. Anyway, that's it for this week's retro Ask GMBN. So thanks for all those questions. If you want to see some more retro videos, there's loads coming out earlier on in the week, so check them out. There's the Retro Bike Challenge where we sort of see what old bikes can and can't do.
Yeah.
So click over there for that one.
And click down there if you want to see that nuke-proof reactor from 1997.
Yeah, funny.
So a lot of people didn't even know that existed.
I don't remember that bike at all. Thumbs up. Catch you later.